Before we enter into worship, there are a couple of brief announcements I've been asked to make. For USG folks, there is no CSD today. All children are welcome to stay in the worship service. If you have any little ones who need to move around, childcare will be provided in the wiggle room in the back of the sanctuary. Regular CSD will resume on Sunday, January 7th. At UU Mount Airy next Sunday, our Folk Factory will present Joe Jenks and Zoe Mulford in concert at 7 p.m. Joe Jenks has performed at UU Mount Airy and other UU congregations as a member of the trio Brother Son, who some of you might know, noted for the song Lady of the Harbor. Zoe Mulford is best known for her song, The President Sang Amazing Grace. She performs traditional and contemporary American and British folk. The cost is on a sliding scale, $15 to $60. And you might have been handed a flyer about something that's coming up at UU Mount Airy on Dr. MLK Day, Monday, January 15th. There will be vigil and jazz for peace, a vigil at 6:15, probably on the lawn, and a concert at 7 p.m. with jazz ensemble, featuring Anam Awili Ager on piano and Jill Salkin on vocals. Finally, there's a celebratory potluck following today's service in the downstairs fellowship room. Now let's take a breath together.
Our chalice lighting / call to worship this morning is from Unitarian Universalist minister, the Reverend Tracy Johnson, and she says, "We kindle our chalice flame this morning, awakening the fire of our ancestors in our hearts. Beacon of freedom held out to light the way, light of reason illuminating the path, spark of courage igniting our spirits, aglow with hope for all we endeavor to do together. Holy flame of times past, brighten this present moment, that we may be the love that is our center and our faith and our foundation, both. Blessed be." Our Kwanzaa prayer this morning is words by Unitarian Universalist minister, the Reverend Ade Amakraba. And they say, "O come all ye faithful, rejoicing and victorious. Come, let us embrace the mystery in the spirit of life as we celebrate the goodness of Kwanzaa and the African-American heritage. Come and give thanks for companions on the journey in the struggle for freedom and justice. Our roots in the soil and soul of Mother Africa reach far and wide. Creator of all, lead us to be true to our nature with respect and dignity for life from conception to its natural end at death. Bless and keep us in solidarity to one another. Ache."
Good morning. I'm Deborah Coleman. I'm a member of USG. My pronouns are she, her. Today I'm going to give you a little bit of history of Kwanzaa for those of you who may not be familiar with the celebration. Kwanzaa was created in 1966 by Maulana Ron Karenga, an active participant in the Black Power movement in the immediate aftermath of the Watts riot in Oakland, California. At a time when Black people were finding ways to express their independence from Eurocentric cultural norms, trading slave names for African ones, growing their natural hair out, donning Ghanaian kente cloth and dashikis, Kwanzaa was an attempt to provide an alternative to, quote, white, unquote, Christmas. Karenga said his goal was to give Blacks an alternative to the existing holiday and to give blacks an opportunity to celebrate themselves and their history rather than simply imitating the practices of the dominant society. His fourfold purpose was, 1, to reaffirm and restore African heritage and culture. 2, introduce and reinforce Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, to serve as a national, celebrated communal and non-Eurocentric holiday, and as an act of cultural self-determination. Today, Kwanzaa is an African-American and Pan-African holiday that celebrates history, values, family, community, and culture. The ideas and concepts of Kwanzaa are expressed in the Swahili language, one of the most widely spoken languages in Africa. Kwanzaa gets its name from the Swahili phrase, Matunda ya Kwanzaa, and is rooted in first fruit celebrations, which are found in cultures throughout Africa, both in ancient and modern times. The 7 principles from which its core were drawn from communitarian values from across the continent. You'll hear more about each of these principles later in the service. Kwanzaa unfolds across 7 nights from December 27th to January 1st. Each of the nights dedicated to one of the 7 principles. In some cases, children are given gifts on each night with one catch. The gifts must be educational in nature. On the 6th day, the holiday culminates in a celebratory feast, which you all will share with us today. It's observed by people of African descent of all faith backgrounds and is not tied to any religion. The colors of Kwanzaa are black, red, and green. Black for the people, red for their struggle or bloodshed in the past, green for earth and the abundance of possibilities the future holds, along with the hope that comes with the struggle. In the candle holder, the Kanara, there's 1 black candle, 3 red and green candles. These are the Mshumaa Saba, and they represent the 7 principles. During Kwanzaa, African Americans set up an altar with a placemat displaying the candle holder, unity cup, crops, corn, and gifts. This serves as a reminder of how African heritage is built on tradition. I want to take a minute to tell you about a Unitarian connection to Kwanzaa that I just learned about in the last couple of days, actually. In October of 1967, a group of African-American Unitarian Universalists formed the Black Unitarian Universalist Caucus, or BUC, and requested funding from the UUA to support the goals of Black self-empowerment and self-determination movements that were growing throughout the United States. In 1968, at a General Assembly in Cleveland, the delegates voted to honor the request for $1 million in funding, and Dr. Sanyika, formerly Haywood Henry, a founding member of BUC, helped establish the Black Affairs Council, the committee responsible for determining how funds would be distributed. The support of Kwanzaa is an international celebration was one of those initiatives. The Black Affairs Council provided some funding in Newark to help establish educational curricula based on Kwanzaa's 7 principles, and in 1970 helped organize and fund a conference that circulated and promoted the 7 principles as the basis of a more Afrocentric cultural representation. Kwanzaa is an African-American invention. It's meant to celebrate our history and culture and remind us of our connection to our homeland in Africa.
Good morning. Yes, today I can say real loud, I'm a Pew Fellow! Finally, I can say it. Every day, all day long, I can write it in the sky. It's been a long wait, but thank you so much for letting me share that. I just needed to get out. It's the last day of the year, you know. And today, Kwanzaa principle is, talk at one time. Drum rolls. Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's like that too. Today's Kwanzaa principle is Kaumba, which is creativity. That's the sixth candle. And we're going to pour libations for those who have gone on, as well as also for new birth as well. It's about as well. So if someone calls to mind, I don't even have what I need to pour libation. So now, I can take that. We can improvise. Thank you so much. What's your name?
Bodie.
Hey, Bodie. You better be proud of your name. I'm glad for you to be here, too. And if I have a plant, that would be even better. And Mariama's going to help me. The best thing about this collective is that it ranges from ages, as you can see. There's no gender discrimination, even if it says sisters laying down hands. Folks can be from Philadelphia. They can be from Senegal, and they can be from Liberia, and they can be from Brooklyn. So you want to come? So we're going to pour this libation for those who have gone on. And if you have a name that you want to shout out, you do that. And after we hear the name, we all say Ashe. That's easy enough, right? Want to practice? Okay, if I say Rosa Parks, you say? Ashe. There we go. If I say Frederick Douglass, you say? Ashe. Oh, you got it. You know this. And I've been here before, and most of you have been here before, too, with me in Kwanzaa. And thank you so much for having us back in this UU combo of Kwanzaa. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much. So let's say some names as we pour, and they can overlap, it doesn't matter, and we'll pour until the water is gone. Thank you for letting us use your water. Ashe. Give me drums. Ashe. 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 Ronald Smith. Ashe. 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 And for any new birth, you can say that as well for anyone who has just got here, because I know you have a new grandson. Ashe. It's for anyone who's just been born this past year, even if it's today. Ashe. Anyone else you want to say? Ashe. And for all things to come as well for 2024, send out what you are looking forward to. And one thing I know we're all looking forward to is peace, right? So let's say peace 12 times. Peace. 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 Bring it up. Peace. Bring it up. Peace. 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 Two more. Peace. One more. Peace.
dañu respecté suñu Sénégal. Listen, good morning, everybody. This song is about solidarity. It's right in Wolof. Wolof is a language speaking in Senegal. Senegal is in West Africa. I want to talk about Gore a little bit. Gore Island is the most big human history place in the world because of the slave trade on the Atlantic. The song I'm going to sing, it's about solidarity. It's about teamwork. It's about humanity. It's about society stand up. That come from two best friends used to hang out every day, everywhere. And there was two different religion, two different ethnic, two different skin color. Sunu societe yangatuna, yangatuna. Sunu societe yangatuna, ndeysaan yangatuna. Dañu am fayda, fayda. Dañu am fayda, fayda. Dañu respecte sunu Sénégal. Sunu societe yangatuna, that means our society is active. Sunu societe yangatuna. Dañu am fayda, we have character. Dañu am fayda. Dañu respecte sunu Sénégal, we love our Sénégal. Sunu societe yangatuna, yangatuna. Sunu societe yangatuna, ndeysaan yangatuna. Dañu am fayda, fayda. Dañu am fayda, fayda. Dañu respecte sunu Sénégal. Aduna potundala. Dangay naan jox sa morom naan. Aduna potundala. Dangay naan jox sa morom naan. Aduna potundala. That means on earth, each one has his own term about everything. They take that proverb in Wolof, potundala. That it's a water recipient made from the clay. And it used to be somewhere under the shade in the house. There is a mug on top and everyone can use it. You don't look at that mug and say it like there is someone who I don't like it, use it already, I'm not. No, everybody shares the same mug. That's why they say, Aduna potundala, dangay naan jox sa morom naan. Aduna potundala, dangay naan jox sa morom naan. Maysa, maysa, abu maysa, maysa, abu ye. Maysa and Abu is those best friends I was talking about earlier. Maysa is from the center of Senegal. Abu is from the north. And there was two different skin color, two really different religions, and they was hang out every day because their father was working for the colonialism in the administration. And they met in the city, became two best friends. This song is more popular for people who doing sitting or protests in Senegal. You can Google it and found it a little bit. Sunu societe yangatuna. Sunu societe yangatuna. Sunu societe yangatuna. Dañu am fayda, fayda. Dañu am fayda, fayda. Dañu respecte sunu Sénégal. Aduna potundala. Dangay naan jox sa morom naan. Aduna potundala. Dangay naan jox sa morom naan.
We're gonna speak words now? I mean, after all that? The words of music. And the beautiful song from Senegal told us a lot about solidarity and unity. And we're gonna light this first candle, the Umoja Unity Candle. Solidarity, community, across the diaspora, unity, solidarity, community, family.
We light the second candle of Kwanzaa for the second day, where the principle is kujichagulia, which means self-determination, to name ourselves, to define ourselves, to speak for ourselves. When our ancestors were removed from their homelands, they had names bestowed by their parents or their villages. But in the journey across the Atlantic, they became property and were called what their owners wanted to call them. Their true names were lost. In over 400 years since African peoples landed in North America and the subsequent struggles for freedom, we claim our personhood by the personal names we choose, and we claim our humanity by defining and speaking for ourselves in the world. Choice gives us agency and self-determination.
Can you hold this?
UGMA, collective work and responsibility to build and maintain our community together. There are ways each of us can take the initiative to strengthen and impact our community. I'll share two examples, one person well-known and one some of us know locally. So Stacey Abrams. Stacey founded Fair Fight Action, an organization to address voter suppression in 2018. Her efforts have been widely credited with boosting voter turnout in Georgia, including the 2020 presidential election and then Georgia's 2020-2021 regularly scheduled and special U.S. state elections, which gave Democrats control of the Senate. Ms. Abrams' actions have worked to correct the system that was being manipulated, empower those often underrepresented, and engage people in a core aspect of our democracy, voting. This strengthens our communities by giving representation desired by the voters. Also, USG member Rosita Johnson. Rosita is a retired teacher and union activist in Philadelphia. She had a long, distinguished career in teaching elementary school and serving as the elected union representative in her public school. She also found time to lead another critically important struggle with an international focus. She organized and chaired the Friends of Samafco, a group that for many years provided crucial support in the form of books and materials for a school for young people forced into exile from their homeland in apartheid South Africa. Her years-long leadership in organizing support earned her the Award of Order O.R. Tambo in 2018. Rosita is one of the first non-South Africans to ever receive the award. When recognizing Rosita, the South African government said, "The award of the Order of O.R. Tambo presented to Rosita by the South African government is for her outstanding contribution to the well-being of South African exiles by enabling them to pursue their education and for raising awareness in the United States of the plight of South Africans under apartheid. The work of Friends of Samafco was also recognized by the City of Philadelphia with a citation in 2017. Unfortunately, Rosita couldn't be here today. She isn't feeling well, but hopefully she's seeing this online. Both women have led outstanding efforts to build and maintain our communities. Both led wonderful examples of Ujima.
Ujamaa, cooperative economics, to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. A bit of local history on that. Did you know that the first insurance company owned and managed by African Americans was established in Philadelphia in 1810? It was founded by James Porter, William Coleman, and Joseph Randolph, and named the Afro-American Insurance Company. The original purpose of the company, which stayed in business for 30 years, was to provide African Americans with a proper burial. And now on a more personal note, my biggest hero is a woman named Maggie Lena Walker. Some of you know I came here from Richmond, Virginia, and in Richmond she is a household name. Maggie Walker was the first woman in America to become a bank president. In 1903, she founded the St. Luke Penny Savings Bank, becoming its president. Her bank provided small cardboard boxes to children in which they could save their pennies, and when they saved $1, they could open a savings account. In 1930, the bank merged with two others and was renamed Consolidated Bank and Trust Company, with Maggie Walker as the chairman of the board. In 1978, when I was an account executive for C&P Telephone, Consolidated Bank and Trust was one of my first customers.
get to laugh. You get to be with the drum. You get to be with each other. This is why this came to you. We get to celebrate the next stage of life, the rebirth of life, the new year, the people that have come and gone. That's what we are celebrating together right now. Across the continent, there are other people already celebrating. Their new year has come, they are still celebrating. All is coming tonight, midnight. So let's celebrate it and go into the new year with kindness, compassion, love for each other and for ourselves, our children. Yeah! Money, yeah, 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 money, yeah. He's so my come on now, money, yeah, come on, yeah, my yeah, la, money, yeah. Money, yeah, 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 ooh, money, yeah, ooh, money, yeah.
Good morning. I'm going to read for you a story about Henry's Freedom Box. It's a story from the underground, a true story from the Underground Railroad, and it's about Henry Box Brown. Henry Brown wasn't sure how old he was. Henry was a slave, and slaves weren't allowed to know their birthdays. Henry and his brothers and sisters worked in the big house where the master lived. Henry's master had been good to Henry and his family, but Henry's mother knew things could change any day. Do you see those leaves blowing in the wind? They are torn from the trees like slave children are torn from their families. One morning, the master called for Henry and his mother. They climbed the wide staircase. The master lay in the bed with only his head above the quilt. He was very ill. He beckoned them to come closer. Some slaves were freed by their owners. Henry's heart beat fast. Maybe the master would set him free. But the master said, "You are a good worker, Henry. I'm giving you to my son. You must obey him and never tell a lie." Henry nodded, but didn't say thank you. That would have been a lie. Later that day, Henry watched a bird soar high above the trees. Free bird, happy bird, Henry thought. Henry said goodbye to his family and looked across the field. The leaves swirled in the wind. Henry worked in his new master's factory. He was good at his job. "Do not tear the tobacco leaf," the boss yelled at the new boy. He poked the boy with a stick. "If you make a mistake, the boss would beat you." Henry was lonely. One day he met Nancy, who was shopping for her mistress. They walked and they talked and agreed to meet again. Henry felt like singing, but slaves didn't dare sing in the streets. Instead, he hummed all the way home. Months later, Henry and Nancy to be his wife. Months later, Henry asked Nancy to be his wife. When both their masters agreed, Henry and Nancy were married. Soon there was a little baby, then another and another. Henry knew they were very lucky. They lived together even though they had different masters. But Nancy was worried. Her master had lost a great deal of money, and I'm afraid he will sell our children, she said. Henry sat very still. Henry worked hard all morning. He tried to forget what Nancy had said. His friend James came into the factory. He whispered to Henry, "Your wife and children were just sold at the slave market." "No," cried Henry. Henry couldn't move. He couldn't think. He couldn't work. Twist that tobacco, the boss poked Henry. Henry twisted tobacco leaves. His heart twisted in his chest. At lunchtime, Henry rushed to the center of town. A large group of slaves was tied together. The owner shouted at them. Henry looked for his family. "Father, father!" Henry watched his children disappear down the road. Where was Nancy? He saw her the same moment she saw him. When he wiped away his tears, Nancy too was gone. Henry no longer sang. He couldn't hum. He went to work, and at night he ate supper and went to bed. Henry tried to think of happy times, but all he could see were the carts carrying away everyone he loved. Henry knew he would never see his family again. Many weeks passed. One morning, Henry heard singing. A little bird flew out of a tree into the open sky, and Henry thought about being free. But how? As he lifted a crate, he knew the answer. He asked James and Dr. Smith to help him. Dr. Smith was the white man who thought slavery was wrong. They met early the next day at an empty warehouse. Henry arrived with a box. "I will mail myself to a place where there are no slaves," he said. James stared at the box, then at Henry. "What if you cough and someone hears you?" "I will cover my mouth and hope," Henry said. Dr. Smith wrote on the box, "To William H. Johnson, Arch Street, Philadelphia, PA." Henry would be delivered to friends in Philadelphia. Then he printed on the crate in big letters, "This side up with care." Henry needed an excuse to stay home, or the work boss would think he had run off. James pointed to Henry's sore finger, but Henry knew it wasn't bad enough. He opened a bottle of oil of vitriol. "No," cried James. Henry poured it on his hand. It burned his skin to the bone. Now the boss would have to let him stay home. Dr. Smith bandaged Henry's hand. They arrived to meet the next morning at 4 o'clock. The sun was not up yet when Henry climbed into the box. "Ready?" he said. James nailed the lid down. Dr. Smith and James drove to the station. The railway clerk tipped the box over and nailed a paper to the bottom. Dr. Smith begged the clerk to be careful, but they didn't listen. They threw the box into the baggage car. Hours passed. Henry was lifted up and thrown again. Upside down, he heard waves splashing. This must be the steamboat headed for Washington, D.C. The ship rode smoothly, but Henry was still upside down. Blood rushed to his head. His face got hot. His eyes ached. He thought his head would burst. but he was afraid to move. Someone might hear him. I'm tired of standing, someone said. Why don't we move that box and sit on it, said another. Henry held his breath. Could they be talking about his box? Henry was pushed. The box scraped the deck. Now he was on his right side, now on his left, and suddenly right side up. What do you think is in here, said the first man. Mail, I guess, said the other. I am mail, thought Henry, but not the kind they imagine. Henry was carried off the steamboat and placed in the rail car. This time, head up, he fell asleep to the rattling song of the train wheels. He awoke to a loud knocking. Henry, are you all right in here? All right, he answered. The cover was pried open. Henry stretched and stood up. 4 men smiled at him. Welcome to Philadelphia. At last, Henry had a birthday, March 30th, 1849, his first day of freedom. And from that day on, he also had a middle name. Everyone called him Henry Box Brown.
Nia means purpose, knowing what our goals are both personal and in the community and working towards them. Some ways to practice Nia include reflecting how you find purpose in life, reading books and watching movies that educate you about your ancestry and your history, and setting short-term and long-term goals that will set you and your community on a path towards a more intentional and purpose-driven life. Now I will share a poem with you. Always Find Your Purpose by Ronald Warren Allman. Always find your purpose. Just live your life. Things sometimes may not go smoothly. You may have to make a sacrifice. One thing that you must remember, you need to have a vision. Stay true on your course and carry out your mission.
Kuumba celebrates African American creativity. The principle encourages us to leave the world in a better place than where we found it. Usually, I associate creativity with art, music, and dance. Now I think about my ancestors living in basic cabins, focusing on survival. What was creativity for them? I assume it's shelter, food, and clothing. My grandmother, Mommy, I actually called her Mommy, always said, necessity is the mother of invention. Mommy and my grandfather raised 7 children in a 3-bedroom row house in Washington, D.C. At one point, 3 teenagers lived with them. Although they never bought a whole pig, at one point or another, we ate almost every pig part. Pig's feet, hog maws, chitlins, hoghead cheese, ham hocks, and pigtails. We probably ate some parts from other animals as well. Mommy also said, waste not, want not. There was little, if any, garbage. Mommy boiled bones and used the bone marrow for stock. She saved bread crust and made bread pudding. She put leftover vegetables in stews. She reused cooking fats for the next meal. She cooked 3 ways: boiling, frying, and roasting. She didn't use ancestral cooking methods. No grilling, no putting vegetables in leaves and steaming them. Comparing lifestyles with friends and relatives now, but we use some of the same ingredients, and things vary by family, generations, and geography. We continue to enhance ingredients with recipes that we create. That's one way to contribute to the next generation.
And I light the final candle, Amani, faith, belief in our people. And it occurs to me that it has been Amani and not by sight alone that has got us to where we are today, and especially today in the city of Philadelphia, where we have the first Black woman mayor of Philadelphia. It is the intent and the goal of our ancestors and all those who are here in our city to support all those who will be leading us in this new year.
This is the point in our service where we'll be taking the offering. Our offering today is going towards supporting the music and work of the Sisters Laying Down Hands Collective, who have really enriched our service today. Please give generously as we take up this morning's offering. Thank you.
And while the offering is being taken, I just wanted to give you who's here. They can still keep playing, don't stop playing. Who's here in the group today, because the collective does change according to, and they can introduce themselves. Right here on my left.
I'm Yasmin.
Give us some love. Way in the back.
Maria Ma.
The dancer, slash singer, slash drummer. And right here on my right.
Sang from Senegal.
Give him some love. From Senegal, by the way, and you're from Liberia. And you're from Philly. Yes. Brooklyn, okay. So, right on my right, you gotta get the little people, because this is the future right here. Give it up. And your name is?
Atul.
Give some love. Yeah. Atun was feeling those drums. That was like real impromptu. He was feeling those drums. So you have to let it go. The ancestors come in the room and they speak through however they need to speak to, and he needed to do that. So give some love to Atum. Gotta have a sisters laying down hands for the future too.
Amber.
Amber! And that's Amber's mom right here too.
Aiden.
Aiden! And that's Aiden's mom as well. And way in the back, new grandmom. That's Gigi. Hey, Darlene. And Tim's wife. So there you have it, sisters laying down hands plus.
Our closing words today: may the spirit of Kwanzaa be infused into every aspect of our daily lives, that we may consistently remember the benefits and obligations of family, community, and nationhood. May we also remember our ancestors with reverence and love, and may they share with us their great wisdom and strength as we seek to preserve and continue the heritage they've left us. May the Nuzo Saba, the 7 principles, become beacons to us to live lives in service, humility, unity, faith, love, and strength. May your Kwanzaa be blessed with hope, peace, and abundance. Blessings be. Ashe. Thanks to all involved in the program today, in all aspects, technical, service, and other support across both congregations. We're glad you joined us today. Happy to see all the visitors in person and online. For those online, if you stay on the Zoom link, or if you go from YouTube to Zoom, you can engage in conversation. For those in the sanctuary, please join us for fellowship in the dining room. You follow people through the doorway on the right. Thank you.